The 21st EY Entrepreneur of the Year is... Peter and Daniel, teamwork.com.
It's that time of year when the best business minds in the country get together to share in and celebrate each other's success. Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Architects of Business. I'm Tadhg Enright, and this week we're on location at the 21st EY Entrepreneur of the Year Ireland Awards. More than 100 business people have been vying for the honour of being named Ireland's top entrepreneur for 2018. The great and the good of the business world are here to see who's won it. It's also a great opportunity to get dressed up and have a big night while meeting and learning from those who've had a pretty good year in business. So stay with us, because we'll be hearing from the winner and from the architects of this great institution. And we are joined now by the winners from teamwork.com. We have Dan Mackey and Peter Coppinger. How does it feel, boys?
Feels absolutely amazing. We didn't expect to be here. You know, it's just it's the dream come true. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a bit surreal, to be honest. I mean, we're always the guys sitting at home watching this show year after year. Never did we think we'd be up there.
Or we were here the previous 2 years as guests, and we were in the furthest corner of the room, just baiting into the wines to actually win. It was brilliant.
Fantastic stuff. Do you think will it make a difference to the business? I mean, you're already very successful. What added dimension will this give to you?
Absolutely. I think when somebody comes out of college and they think, will they go work with Microsoft or Facebook or Teamwork, they got to hear Teamwork, and this is definitely going to elevate us up into that level and help us in our recruitment efforts. Okay,
so listen, why don't you give us all a bit of a background, or first of all on the company itself. For those who aren't familiar with you, what is it that you guys do?
Okay, so we make a suite of products that makes companies all around the world efficient, organized, and happy. So we have a suite of products. One is a project management software. One is help desk software, one's collaboration software, and we've 2 new products coming out in January and February.
Wow, so growing all the time. That's the kind of the formal corporate
explanation.
Yeah. Now, what do you tell your Auntie Mary about what you do?
So we make this software, and you might know exactly what it does, but any team around the world could use it, and I guarantee those teams will be more efficient and organized. And the idea really is to build a suite of products. Because in this day and age, when we're at a level now of 230 people, and we find it hard when a new person comes on to onboard them, offboard them, setting up all these accounts in these disparate systems. So our vision is to have one suite of products, and it's easy to get people on. And if you have to get rid of them, it's easy to get them off. But all the products work seamlessly together. But they always, each product as well, stands on its own 2 feet.
Of course, but once you have built that relationship with one of your customers with product X, it's much easier then to sell
absolutely. There's cross-selling.
ZX and whatever else.
Yeah, when they come to love what we do, love our support, love what we stand for, love the quality of the software, they start exploring our other products. And its strategy seems to be working. We've 24,000 customers all around the world, including some of the biggest businesses in the world, which is amazing, because it's this little thing the 2 of us started in a dodgy office in Cork, and just built it out of our imagination, really. Yeah. And a lot of hard work, blood, sweat and tears went into it over the years, because we had our consultancy business on the side in the early days. And this was just a side project, and now this thing.
And now it's turned into something much
bigger. Like, we're very proud to see the likes of Microsoft Game Studios, Spotify, eBay, brands that we love, using something that we created ourselves.
Netflix, PayPal.
Yeah,
wow, that's a big one.
And Disney as well. We were our first enterprise client a couple of years back. So that's
no Mickey Mouse company.
No.
Listen, why don't you take me back much earlier in time to I suppose to when you were finding your love of this technology. Where did it all come from?
I mean, we left school at, I think it was 97, and went to college. I did electronic engineering. I missed the points for computer science by 10, but I badgered the head of maths and computing to let me into the course every day for a year, and he put me into the maths and computing course, and I thought I was going to find people with the same kind of passions I had for writing software, and I didn't. I was a bit disillusioned, but then I met him down in the labs, and I kind of saw him down the corner. He was doing the same kind of thing, and didn't really want to go up and say hello and all that kind of stuff. So at that time as well, we were the internet was just kind of happening, and it was easy when you're in college to get like an easy 300 quid to go on the lash, doing a couple of websites for bars and stuff. And I'd go into a bar in town and I'd say, look, do your website, 300 quid.
You got to remember the internet is just happening there. What's a website?
Yeah, they're like, what are you talking about? But a few of them anyway were kind of up there, and we went, yeah, we'll do your website for 300 quid. And they said, weren't you in here yesterday? I was like, no. I went to the next bar and they said, no, you were in here yesterday. I said, no. Turns out.
So I got to all the pubs and bars in Cork before him, basically.
So what, you're doing the same thing?
We were doing the exact same thing without knowing each other, and I hated him as he was taking all my business in town. But when we got talking.
So yeah, I mean, I think you were called Future ID.
Yeah.
I mean, we made up company names. I remember somebody actually went to a bar selling a website, and he's like, "What's your VAT number?" I'm like, "What is a VAT number?" But yeah, from my perspective, when I was 10 years old, I knew I always wanted to build a big company, as inspired by Bill Gates. I was that nerd in the town, the computer guy, as probably known as in the town. And I used to get the notes off friends of mine that were in college, and because it was hard to get information back then, pre-internet. And taught myself programming before I got to college. Couldn't wait to get to college, find like-minded people, take over the world. And when I got there, people there weren't really into it as much as I was. And finally, 2 years later, bumped into Dan. We ended up dropping out of college. Yeah. And we thought there's money to be made in this internet thing.
And you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We started doing websites. And there's no money to be made in websites as well. It took us 7 years to realize that.
Yeah, I think we always want to be game developers. We had a passion for games, we had a passion for programming, and we wanted to make games. There's no money in games, not at that time. So
for Fortnite now, making 200 million a month. But
no, it's a different game. But
well, it's a different world now, isn't it?
It is.
As you say, that was back, what was it, 1997, and the internet was just
so
beginning.
1999 we started in the consultancy, and we were building websites, and we progressed from websites into web applications then. And we got a lucky break one day from Pfizer, and they were looking to build this big knowledge kind of sharing, best process type application. And there were lots of big companies out there at the time tendering for this, and I think he recognised something in us and
just liked our hustle, I think.
Yeah.
Was that the hometown advantage? Because Pfizer down in...
No, because we were up against a couple of incumbents in the town.
Okay.
We came in and we were the new guys, and they thought, look, let's give it to these guys and see what'll happen. And from that we went on to do, I'd say, over 50 applications for Pfizer over the next 3 years, which kept us alive.
And using the name Pfizer, then we got into the likes of Lilly, and then we did applications for Lidl and other big kind of web app, meaty apps then, you know.
But we always wanted to get out of this consultancy world. It was never what we wanted to do with our lives.
Yeah.
And one day we just, the business was tipping away. One day we said, look, we got to make this work, or we got to go get real jobs.
We said we'll give it a year. We'll try it for a year, and if it doesn't work, we'll go away and we'll hit up the people in Pfizer and stuff that took a shot on us and give us a job.
But I mean, you were getting contracts with Pfizer, with Lidl, with Lilly, the pharmaceutical firm. I mean, what some people might think that is a great start to a great business. What was it about that business that really
brilliant.
Wasn't working for you, and then you wanted to start something else?
It was a couple of things. I mean, we had never worked anywhere else, so we didn't know the right way to run a business.
Yeah, so we were just two developers straight into it.
So I'll tell you now, we were spending the VAT money. We weren't doing stage payments. We weren't charging enough. We weren't charging for all the extras. There was never a contract. That day we said, all right, we're got to make this work. We wised up. So overnight we doubled our prices. We said, look, we're going to go out of business. We started charging her all the extras. We started doing contracts. We started doing stage payments, and suddenly we had a thriving business. Just
you
overnight.
had to grow up.
Yeah, one of our customers. I remember it was CIT actually. He rang me and we sent an email to all our customers saying, "Look, sorry, our prices have gone up." And he picked up the phone. And he was like, "What took you so long?"
Yeah.
But
that was a moment of realization that maybe you've been missing out on something all this time.
So we went from struggling consultancy to thriving consultancy, but then we were completely disorganized. Too much work going on. Answering customers in the order of who's screaming the loudest. We had a whiteboard in the corner of the office that listed our projects, milestones, what different phases, different things they're at. And we thought there has to be a better way to run a business.
And I sense an idea coming here.
This is
a masterstroke of an idea, a light bulb moment. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I suppose there were, as Peter said, we had this big whiteboard and we just put our name, and then somebody would ring and they screamed, "Oh, where's my thing?" And we'd shift that around on the whiteboard, and it wasn't efficient. So we looked at a couple of the apps out there at the time. I won't even name them now, but there was about 3. And we looked at them and we said we'd give one of them a go. And the problem with that software was it forced us to do things in the way that software was developed to do. And that's not how we work. So using our skills and knowing that we could do a better job, because we're building fairly sophisticated apps for like Pfizer and Lidl and Lilly, and we said we'll build our own. So so we did.
So yeah, that's a side project.
Yeah.
But that side project became our passion. We worked in it. It's all we talked about every single morning. We met for coffee. We still do for years. All we could talk about was this project, how we were getting on, how excited we are about it. As soon as we finished work, we were just working on this project every evening, every weekend, all night sometimes. And over the course of a couple of weeks, I mean, version 1 came together. We started using it to run our consultancy. And then we seen all the rough edges, and we started getting ideas about how it could be better, how it could be more efficient, what if we showed this, what if we showed that. And we added some great features that we needed ourselves. So like, I won't bore you with the details now, but the other project management software they didn't really adapt to the real world, whereas we modified our software to really adapt to the real world, if that makes sense. So things like infinite subtasks, the ability to assign a task to multiple people, the ability to attach the files directly to the task so you don't have to go rooting around it, the ability to forward in emails directly into the project. It was much more sophisticated than what was out there in the market.
Yeah, it was everything that we needed at the time. And like I'd come in the morning and I'd load up the latest version and I'd go, whoa, class, he added this, or vice versa, you know. So at that time, we were very agile. We were 2 developers. If we saw something broken, we'd just go in and fix it.
So at what stage, and was it always part of the plan to transform it from being a tool that you guys use into something that you can push out there and sell?
Yeah, I think it was, because you got to remember, we looked at the 3 different products that were out there and we were like, these are terrible. These are so basic.
And these guys know we're making
And these guys are making a bit of money. And we're like, well, I think there's an opportunity here. So yeah, from day one, we were thinking this is what's going to get us out of the consultancy trap, is what we'd started referring to it. We thought of ourselves like that hamster in the wheel, that the wheel might get bigger, but we're never going to get out of it.
I think the important thing we did as well is we started to treat ourselves working on teamwork like a client. So we started, we said, right, every single Friday now we'll start working on teamwork. And then we'd say every Thursday and Friday we'd start working, and we were scaling back the consultancy while working on something
as we got a bit of traction. Yeah.
So then how did you, finally make that kind of transition from being a couple of web developers in Cork, selling your services locally, to being a company trying to sell a software platform that you've developed to bigger corporates all over the world?
There wasn't this massive plan.
Well, rewind back to, I think we launched it October 4, 2007.
Yeah.
We put up the worst website in the world. I mean, literally put the website together in a couple of hours. We picked a domain name. We knew we wanted to call it Teamwork, but teamwork.com was unavailable. Come back to that later. So we got the worst domain name ever, teamworkpm.net. A mouthful, right?
That's quite a mouthful.
So the worst domain name ever. It shows how little we knew about marketing and sales and positioning and everything else. So we launched this website. We gave each other a high five. We wired up PayPal. 10 o'clock at night, gave each other a high five. And we took a picture. I remember for probably our first selfie ever. And we went home to bed. And then 3 weeks later, we got our first sale. And it was $120, $187 on our first month. But it's recurring revenue. So
who bought it and why did they take a chance on you?
It was a company called RAP, R-A-P-P, in the UK. Don't know how they found us.
Did they know that they were the first customer?
No. It looked like this big, amazing product, you know.
It's that beautiful thing, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog, right?
Yeah.
And did they ever find out? I mean, did you have to, what was your level of interaction with RAP?
This is the beautiful thing about the software. It was completely self-service. So this thing lives on the internet. We're doing our day job. We're like, oh, look at that, we got a customer. I remember in the early days, we used to have Homer Simpson play Pizza Money every time we got a sale. And but it was kind of low touch. I mean, we'd have a little bit of support around it, a few questions, a few suggestions on how we could improve it. But we were always ultra responsive with these customers and their suggestions.
So
and everything.
At that time as well, it was fortuitous that the iPhone just came out, and we're all over technology. So we went to New York. Your sister got 2 iPhones, wasn't it? Brought it back.
Yeah.
So we're hooked up now, and we're live 24/7. We're able to respond to customers just like that, and I think that kind of instilled a deep understanding of the customer and how they can benefit our product. And if we just listen to them and do what they asked, we would do good.
So I think the fact that we were a consultancy ourselves for 7 years gave us the insight on what a consultancy needs.
Yeah, that's very true. We actually started, we actually had clients as well in the consultancy using Teamwork. So we actually made a decision that if they sent us an email, it would get lost. So we forced them to use Teamwork, and then we could learn how clients would use it ourselves.
And they were like, what is this thing? We were like, oh.
They were like, we don't want to use this. We're going to use this.
So listen, when did, your first, what was it, 187, what currency are we talking
dollars.
about?
Dollars.
Everything's in dollars. When did that become something much bigger?
So it took 3 years. to get to 30,000 monthly recurring revenue. And at that stage, we were like, holy shit, this thing is exploding, and our consultancy is bringing in 15,000 a month. So it was a no-brainer. So we probably left it too late. We just really wanted to be sure.
Yeah, we had other things on the side as well. We had a gaming cafe in Cork. We literally stopped everything. We said, this is the one we're going to go after, and we're going to concentrate on this. And at 30,000, with a couple of staff, we said to our staff, look, this is what we're going to do. Do you want to come with us on this ride, or do you want to go the other route, which was, we found a company in Cork that we worked very well with. They had the same values as us. They're sound guys. And always, we said to them, look, you can have all our customer base and just look after them first. So they did that. They did a superb job. There was a bit of handover, but now we're free to work on our dream.
So you mentioned some big names earlier. What was the first kind of the big names that came to you that made you feel like, good God, we've actually we're cracking something here?
Rap.
The next one then.
So we got to this point where there was thousands signing up every day, and we weren't even looking at them. You know, we were just too busy, and it was completely self-service. But then a couple of years later, so after we bought teamwork.com and relaunched, and we can tell you that story in a minute.
We're skipping ahead years now.
Well, actually, will we tell you?
You mentioned that now
story,
because it was. I think I'm aware of it, and it was a big breakthrough for you. You had this horrible domain name. Was again teamworkpm.net, which everyone just rolls off the tongue.
Absolutely. So
and you wanted teamwork.com.
So the background there on that one, right?
Yeah, go on.
So ever since we started, we wanted to make products. So when we started making websites, there's no point in reinventing the wheel all the time. So we built this system called a CMS, right? And we called it Teamwork CMS. So then when we launched the product, teamwork was an important word in the company, and we needed project manager, so we said Teamwork PM. And then there was .net, because it was the next thing after .com, and .com was like up here. And
you mean too expensive?
Yeah.
And what kind of money was .com at the time? Why were you turning that down at that stage?
So we emailed the guy. So you can find out who owns the domain name, look it up. And we emailed this guy, and he's just sends us back one link, and we click the link, and it opens a web page that lists all these one-word websites that have just sold for insane money. Like so sex.com for 16 million, pets.com for 20 million, insure.com for $18 million. And we just went, okay, all right, this guy obviously wants...
So $9 there looks attractive.
Yeah, quite.
So fast forward a few years, and every now and again we'd be like, oh, if we got teamwork.com, it might really help with our branding. Because we had a great product, really, really good product, with the worst sales and marketing effort in the world. And we were like, if we could just get this name, it would give us that credibility. I think separately, the two of us over the next few years reached out, and we kept getting...
What kind of prices was he quoting?
He typically would just ignore us or send us this link a couple of times. And eventually, I emailed the guy. I was in the pub in Cork, of course, and I eventually emailed the guy.
Of course.
And I said, final offer, $50,000. And amazingly, I actually got a reply instantly, and it was 3 words. Same lowball offer. And I was like, oh, this guy. So I said, look, for the love of God, give me a realistic price. And he shot back instantly. I'd consider $675,000. So I looked that up. That was exactly €500,000. So I checked our bank account from the pub. We had 530,000 in the bank. Every penny we'd saved up.
And at that stage now, we had about 13 staff, maybe?
Yeah.
So there were...
That was their wage bill, was it?
Yeah,
for next month?
That was it. Like,
so I replied to this guy and I said, sold. Let me just consult the board.
As if we had a board. We didn't even know what the board was like.
So I remember ringing my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and she said, oh, you didn't do it? I said, yeah, I just spent €500,000, holy shit. So the next day I came home from work and she said, did you tell him? And I said, I bottled it, I couldn't do it. So all day I was trying to tell him I've just spent €500,000. So the next day I was like, all right, we got to do this. So I asked Dan and Billy to...
The board,
yeah. Or CFO, to come in and, I phrased it as if it wasn't a done deal. I said, look, we have an offer to buy teamwork.com for €500,000. I think we should do it. And the two guys were, to say the least, a bit resistant to spending our entire savings on a bloody domain name.
Yeah, I think, at that time as well, as Peter said, we were reaching out. I'd found this crowd, teamworkpm.com, and they were a property management company down in Florida. So I offered them 50 grand, and I said, look, we'll do a new website because your current one is shit, and we'll put our CMS on it and everything. Never heard back from them. But yeah, it was kind of lucky that
it took my Martin Luther King speech to get him over the line.
Oh, which bit of the Martin Luther
So
King
I was like,
speech?
I have a dream. So look, I said, look,
I had a dream as well, and it was like a Maserati.
Two Maseratis.
Yeah. But listen, so the dreams come true, and you're well on your way. Looking back now on that decision, was it money well spent?
Absolutely. And we were looking, as Peter said earlier, recurring revenue is the best revenue, and it's predictable revenue. And we had that money in the bank, and it was we knew that we would get to that level again with 3 months, was it 4 months?
Yeah, like or the money we were taking every month was more than enough to cover our expenses.
Yeah.
So we were safe in that.
And what
regard.
kind of a difference then did you see from having that name?
Hockey stick is the only word for it.
Yeah.
So we launched 2 months later. We launched. What year was that? Was it 2011? Anyway, we launched. We had a big party up here in the Guinness Storehouse, actually.
Except we go up to the big smoke, like.
So we launched teamwork.com January the 1st, and from that moment, our sales took off. Because I suppose we went from a terrible brand to a really good brand. Plus, we improved our image and our website and everything. And our product was always good. It just had terrible positioning, sales, and marketing.
And the name. And we saw as well that 10% of new business coming onto the platform, it was coming from referrals. And a lot of our business was in North America. And they just couldn't understand the name. They were like, Team repeating the.
Yeah,
they just couldn't refer it. So the minute we had this now, and it gave weight with a one-word domain, and this credibility built up.
And suddenly we started getting listed on all these websites that list top 10 project management apps. We never made those lists, even though our app was brilliant.
Yeah.
Never once made those lists. Suddenly with the new name, we were number 3 in those lists.
So you've been growing steadily, perhaps better than steadily ever since. And one really interesting aspect of your story, which I read about, was that you've done it all by yourselves. There's been no fundraising drives or anything like that. You've not brought in any outside investment. Was that a kind of a deliberate strategy, or is that just how it panned out?
I'll tell you now how that panned out, right? I thought, and I think you thought as well, like we didn't know what VC was, and we didn't know what happens when you take VC. I actually thought it was like a bank loan. You take 20 quid, you pay back 20 quid, and we didn't want to be on the
It's
hook
an
for
alien experience, venture capital, to anyone who's not familiar with it.
Yeah, in the early days, we were just beautifully naive. We were like, you build a thing, you sell the thing, it's that simple. Why do we need the money? Because we had the consultancy on the side, so we were okay to that degree.
Yeah.
And it's just after getting so much cheaper to build software now than it was before, especially today. I mean,
was it the right call though? Because might you have grown more quickly had you brought in some outside investment?
Absolutely, but looking back, I don't regret it one bit.
No, I think it's we're very proud of the fact that we're bootstrapped. We've done it on our own. We're debt free,
profitable,
which is an important one.
Yeah.
But it allows us to make these decisions as well without having to go through board meetings, and we can just do it.
And you've turned your hometown into a tech hub.
We've tried.
We're trying. Yeah.
Trying. Underway. I mean, you've got one of your kind of your classic tech company headquarters there. Here you got a slide.
We've 2 slides.
Two slides.
Two half-done
two
slides.
Two slides. Yeah.
And do you use that every day?
Do you know what? Half our staff are afraid of it because it's quite fast.
There are 2 times those slides are used. Pizza Friday.
Yeah.
And then when the servers go down and everyone's heading out the door.
Yeah, a very efficient way to move people around a building.
Yeah.
And you were talking about you're trying to turn your hometown to a tech hub, because I know you moved into some kind of, glitzy, swanky new offices lately, but your old offices are serving a new purpose.
Yeah, so I suppose I stopped and had a good think about, where do we want to go? So part of the business is about making money, but another part of it is about helping the world be a better place. So one of the things we do is we give 1% of all our profits to good causes, and it's the staff that get to decide that. But also thinking about, what I want personally from my career is to make Ireland more sassy. And what I mean by that is I don't think we have enough indigenous SaaS companies in Ireland. We're a bit over-reliant on the multinationals coming in here.
SaaS being software as a service is what you guys do.
Companies like us.
Which lends itself really well to that term, sassy.
Yeah,
well done.
exactly.
Did you think that one up?
I think I got that.
We're like the Borg. We just take good ideas from anywhere to assimilate them in.
So you're trying to plant the seed for more sassy companies in Ireland.
So exactly. And so to help to some degree, when we moved into our new office and we still had a bit of lease in our old office, we thought instead of subletting it, why don't we turn this into an incubator?
And this was a good office now. I mean, that was our pinnacle of offices at the time, so we'd put an awful lot of work into doing up the interior, making it a fun environment, pool tables, snacks,
games
everything.
rooms.
So it really was. I mean, what's the point just giving that up?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you put the money
we always had this idea that if you could just provide coffee, internet, and snacks to startups, it would really accelerate them along. We think if we had this opportunity, free office, internet, snacks, coffee, a little bit of mentoring, we could have skipped those consultancy years maybe and started a business earlier.
It's all about the snacks, isn't it?
It is.
Probably to a lesser degree about the coffee.
More with coffee.
How's that project going?
Absolutely.
It's going really well,
fantastic.
yeah.
I mean,
So the lease came up in the office. We think the office is a little bit too far outside Cork City, so now we're moving it into town.
Oh wow!
And we're exploring some options there. So watch this space.
Good to
But
know.
I think at the moment, we've is it 14
I think there's 15, and
startups in there?
I guarantee at least 3 of them you'll talk to in the future.
Good. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
So, talking of the future, what do the next 10 years look like for you guys?
So actually, I think last year we sat down and we adopted this new framework to run the business and to get more organised and more efficient, and it's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And part of that is to set out your 10-year vision and get your 3-year picture and your 1-year plan, and break your 1-year plan down to 4 quarters.
I'm smelling a new product here as well.
You could well be.
So everybody in the whole company adopts the same way of operating their specific function, so everybody is going in the same way.
But we had to sit down as part of this process and think about where do we want to be in 10 years. And we'd never really properly sat down and wrote it down. And we said, okay, we want to be generating 450 million recurring revenue and have a suite of internet applications that we call a business operating system, and be a market leader in this new emerging space. So that's it.
And
And that 450 now wasn't just pulled out of thin air. That was based on our current growth rate and projecting out over 10 years.
How close are you to that?
Oh, we're
We're
absolutely
miles
on
away.
track. We're on
Because
track.
you've got the tools to measure it.
Yeah, I mean,
We have the tools to measure it, but 10 years is a long time.
We need 30 to 40% growth every year to get this.
Yeah.
And this year it looks like we'll grow 35%. We were hoping 40. I think it'll be more 35. But we've 2 new products coming out next year, plus a rebrand coming in January.
Oh
So
wow! What's the rebrand all about?
So we're keeping teamwork.com, of course, after spending €500,000 on it.
Can't throw that out.
But we just think the current logo is a bit dated, and also we don't think we do enough to to explain our brand promise. I mean, we are fanatical about customer success and customer support, and we don't get that across at the moment. So the new brand is just all about better positioning, explaining the concept of the business operating system, how all these different products integrate together to really drive efficiency in your business and so on.
Yeah.
And listen, are you going to continue doing all this by yourselves, or getting to that 10-year plan? Does that involve partnering with another player, or perhaps?
We hate to say this, but it might.
Yeah.
You know, so we've grown up a bit, I think, in the last few years. We kind of realize now that there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in the market right now, and that we're perfectly positioned to take advantage. But we can only grow so fast out of profits, reinvesting profits in every year. So at the moment, we can only afford to build 2 new products. If we had a bit more money, we could build 4 new products and go a little bit faster.
Do a little bit faster then, you know.
So if the VCs
everything
are
is-
watching,
Everything's on the table. It could be debt, it could be...
Venture debt is certainly something
yeah.
we'd consider, because we know we could pay it back. We've heard about other people having success with it. So yeah, if you do venture debt, bang us an email.
Bang him an email.
first up though, long before that, next year you're off to Monaco for
it's gonna be
the
exciting.
world final. And that'll be a right breeding ground of potential clients, won't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think winning this, certainly, like, we've always struggled. Well, in Ireland, actually, a couple of years ago, nobody knew who we were. We were fine with that because we were like, all our customers are overseas. I mean, we don't need to make a song and dance. And then we were like, why is nobody applying for jobs?
Yeah.
Because
and that was
nobody
the
knows who we
biggest
are.
challenge.
So winning Entrepreneur of the Year is fantastic to get our brand out there, bit of exposure and help with recruiting and everything. Monaco is going to take that to the next level again and help.
I think winning this as well has been great for the staff. I know there's 230 extremely happy people.
So it could be a very happy Pizza Friday, Pizza and Champagne Friday.
It could be. It could be. Well, we
probably
did promise
trash the
them
office, but
we did promise them a party last
Yeah.
night. So yeah.
Okay.
Game on.
Very good. Well, enjoy it. Dan Mackey, Peter Coppinger, thank you very much.
Thank you
And
very much.
congratulations again.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, also at this year's awards, there were winners, finalists and other business leaders. So when you've got Ireland's best in a room, well, it's a great opportunity to get inside their minds.
Spend a lot of my time in disadvantaged schools and prisons lecturing against entrepreneurship, because I think sometimes it's overvalued. But entrepreneurship to me should be people who make a successful business and are intent on putting something back into the community that put them in the place that they are.
To be an entrepreneur is just wanting to create something really special. Carrick is really aiming to identify and to launch medicines that really make an impact on patients' lives in cancer.
Well, for me, I just solve problems. That's what I do, and I've always had a drive and an ability to get things done, and that's what it's meant for me. And in the process, then I've found things that I'm good at, and we've managed to turn those into businesses. But for me, it's always been just a drive to get things done and get them done well and better than the next guy.
Gosh, I guess for me it's living with uncertainty every day. It's getting up and being inspired and building things from nothing and having the wherewithal to actually see them through to the end.
I think tenacity, unwilling to give up. That's it. I mean, it's not about being the smartest person in the world, but it's about, having a vision and just being relentless in the execution and not leaving anything stop you.
Jesus, that is a big question, isn't it? It's for me, really, it's achieving what people think is impossible and really surprising yourself day to day and going, do you know what, we actually done quite well when we got that deal across the line, and keep doing that really is the sign of a true entrepreneur.
Well, really, I think just that things like leadership skills and stuff can be taught, but I think to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a certain amount of grit and a certain amount of, willing to, if you get knocked down, to get back up again. So I think there are traits that are instilled within somebody that you could call an entrepreneur, and the rest you can teach after that.
Tenacity. It's very hard work.
It's got to keep going.
Yeah, and, rejigging and rethinking.
You got to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur. So that's
a given anyway.
Exactly.
I think for me it means to create something. I think entrepreneurs have a great knack of creating a vision of the future and then going after it. And certainly I think there's some amazingly creative people in the room tonight. And we're all hopefully heading after something pretty big.
Well, first of all, I suppose the first thing, you always feel you're not worthy. You just feel I haven't done enough really. But at the end of the day, you realise you have, and it gives you a bit of self-confidence. But I suppose to be an entrepreneur means that you've proven at least that you've actually got up off your backside and made a difference. And I think I've made a difference.
Well, from the architects of business to the architects of this very event, I am joined now by Frank O'Keefe, who is the managing partner for EY Ireland, and by Kevin McLaughlin, the partner lead responsible for Entrepreneur of the Year. Welcome, both of you, to the architects of business. What have you thought of the calibre of the finalists for this year?
Really happy with the calibre of the finalists this year, I suppose as we are every year, but it's a great mix of people, great mix of sectors, great mix of businesses, and a really good spread across the country. And I suppose one thing that we've been trying to drive really hard is to increase the level of female entrepreneurs in the programme. And this year I think is our highest ever. I think we've 9 out of 24 finalists who are female, which is fantastic. But overall, I think just a really good reflection of how vibrant the entrepreneurial scene is in Ireland.
And then the winners, teamwork.
Yep.
Why were they chosen? How did they put their head above the parapet?
Well, that's a really good question. Maybe one for the judges. We do have an independent judging panel, which is chaired by Anne Herity. And that's really important for our EY Entrepreneur of the Year programme because, this programme is for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. So we've asked a number of our previous winners to actually chair and also be part of our judging panel. And our 24 finalists actually go through quite a rigorous process, not just the CEO retreat that Kevin hosts to really challenge our entrepreneurs, but a judging process where they come in and they spend individual time with our judges, and our judges assess them, go off and think about it, and come back then with category and overall winners. So it really is a very important decision that the judges know they have to make, but every year I believe they come up with the right one. And Teamwork is just an incredible company. The guys, have been working incredibly hard, building their business, building markets over the last number of years. And I actually think that this is only the start for them. This is a business that we should all in Ireland watch out for as they go onto the global stage.
To see who's coming down the slide.
Well, yeah. Well, that's not something I would do every day.
But actually, really tough decision for the judges because I think the standard has been very high and very even. So no obvious winners, and I think it's great for teamwork.com. It's great accolade for them.
Yeah. Listen, does it change much on a year-by-year basis? The kind of the atmosphere on the retreats and things like that, depending on who the finalists are in any given year.
Well, we've both been involved.
Yeah, for quite a while.
Maybe Frank, you might cover your time on it, and I'll kind of bring it up to date if you want.
Yeah, sure. I actually sat in Kevin's shoes for a number of years. I ran the EY Entrepreneur of the Year programme for 5 years up to 2014. The common traits of the entrepreneurs haven't changed. Their purpose in relation to being able to see opportunity, take that opportunity, to, I suppose, being able to understand the markets and the customers that they can go after, but to also understand the importance they have to creating a legacy. and what they do to try and ensure that they give their time to charities, to younger people, to schools, and all the work that we do with the entrepreneurs outside of the program. So their core attributes are quite special as individuals. What I did notice over time was how digitalization started to really take hold, not just in Ireland, but globally, and how different types of entrepreneurs with different skill sets were coming through our program. So, you know, technology sector was always really important. Life sciences now is an incredibly important, or was, from 2010 to 2014. But let's not forget all of those brilliant entrepreneurs around Ireland who have different businesses, manufacturing businesses, supply businesses, the heartbeat of Ireland. They were also coming to the fore, but in a slightly different way, because they were using better robotics and better artificial intelligence to really help them deliver a superb product to a wider market.
Yeah, I mean, 4 years on, I'm still trying to fill Frank's shoes. But I mean, I suppose what I would add to that, probably in terms of what I've seen, because the last 4 years has been a really interesting time globally in terms of economically, and a huge amount of uncertainty around Brexit and all kinds of things happening internationally. And actually, I think the characteristics that Frank has described, I mean, the one that really stands out for me is just resilience. So. Yeah. Entrepreneurs will confront all of this uncertainty, all of this change, and they'll kind of navigate through it, no matter where they're based, what size their businesses are. That's a fantastic thing to see in action.
But listen, I mean, this is a fantastic event celebrating lots of, you know, successful people. But do you detect a little bit of a cloud hanging over the sector right now with, as you mentioned there, Brexit?
Do you know, and maybe it's down to the entrepreneurial mindset. I actually think entrepreneurs are different. They look at things in a very different way. So they look at problems and they look actually at how they get around these problems. They'll always be looking for solutions. And I mean, Brexit at this stage, I suppose, has been on the go for a couple of years. And I think most entrepreneurs have already responded to that. They're already chasing new markets, new opportunities. And that's not to minimize the impact that Brexit has, particularly for businesses in Ireland that are exporting into the UK.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with that. I think that's a brilliant answer, because, you know, when we look at our entrepreneurs, they're in the market fast, they're in the market early. Brexit, no doubt, is going to cause huge disruption for industry in Ireland exporting into the UK. And no doubt a lot of our entrepreneurs will affect their businesses. However, there's other items and other challenges, but other opportunities that are out there. So when you look at global climate change, you look at the speed of drugs to market, you know, you look at even international tax trade, artificial intelligence, robotics. Entrepreneurs have to think about a huge amount of items. Brexit is definitely one. But because we're a small island of 6 million people and we've such fantastic entrepreneurial spirit, most of our entrepreneurs think global from the start. And that's the uniqueness, I believe, of the Irish entrepreneurs. The market is never big enough for their ambition. So they will travel, they will go around the world, and they will think about how they connect with different people and different businesses. So Brexit's an issue, but they've many more to also consider.
And it strikes me, from having met a lot of the alumni so far myself, that actually that ambition to export almost starts earlier in a company's existence at this stage. Is that something you've seen as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you think about most Irish businesses, the Irish market is a tiny market, and there's very few businesses, I think, that can survive entirely off the basis of the Irish economy. So I think Irish businesses always have that mindset that growth is much more likely going to come outside, you know, and by expanding their horizons and looking internationally than necessarily domestically.
So what do you see as your purpose in running this event?
Well, I think as a business, we're very focused on purpose overall, and I think for us, we have something that we're very kind of passionate about, which is building a better working world. I suppose how we distill that down in terms of the program here, it is really trying to be a voice for entrepreneurship in Ireland, and that's very much to try and recognise the contribution that entrepreneurs make. And that's not necessarily about awards, it's about how they create jobs, how they create employment in places that actually a lot of big business won't even consider in a short list, if you like. Very loyal to where they grow up, where their roots are, and very passionate about giving back. And that's a very practical thing. It's about creating economic activity, creating jobs, stimulating growth, you know, in their home basically.
Is that something that's maybe a little bit overlooked in this country when we're so keen to draw in the big multinational brands and have them have their EMEA headquarters here? Maybe we're not paying as much attention to the needs of people actually just setting something up, planting a seed here and hoping it'll grow?
I think if you think about, the challenges of growth, say in somewhere like Dublin, which is around, infrastructure, the cost of housing, trying to actually recruit people. But actually, if we are around balanced growth, regional growth, the entrepreneurs are a huge part of how you could unlock that.
Yeah, the other thing is, I wouldn't dismiss foreign direct investment in Ireland and the value and the benefits that it brings actually to entrepreneurship. True. Because what we find an awful lot of our entrepreneurs were entrepreneurs in very large businesses. But what they've done is they've spotted a niche in an area or a sector that they really like. And often they might work in FDI, either in some of our big cities, Dublin, Cork, Belfast, etc. They mightn't necessarily want to raise their family there, but they'll often go home to their own communities, set up that business, have access through technology and grow local employment. So I actually think FDI is very well suited for entrepreneurship. The one thing that we do in EY through our Entrepreneur of the Year program is really try and put the best of entrepreneurs on a pedestal so that they have access to new markets, but access to customers. That's a door opener for them being part of the program, and actually talent. And by showcasing our entrepreneurs and showcasing their brilliant stories, it actually attracts an awful lot of people who've also worked in FDI, built brilliant skills, and now want to take on the opportunity to work with our entrepreneurs.
I guess when it comes, though, to those entrepreneurs seeking to kind of make their voices heard with the government and with regulators, what you guys do probably transforms just singular voices into a whole chorus. Is there a potential power in that?
I think we're particularly happy this year that we've hit a milestone where we've over 500 people now have been through the program, and that's a group that are essentially our alumni, and that's a hugely powerful group within itself. Hugely supportive of each other. I think almost 2/3 of them will have done business together, but actually it now is a really good reflection of domestic Indigenous business across the country, across all sectors, and they are very motivated to engage deeply with the government on challenges that they face from a local business perspective, but also to kind of help government see the opportunities and how entrepreneurs can actually unlock both those opportunities, and how government might be able to deal with some of the challenges that help them to do that.
So what's top of their list of priorities?
I think like a lot of us, I would say talent is probably number one, and everybody needs talent to grow, and entrepreneurs are no different, I guess, than any other business in that respect, but it's a very competitive market. I would say for, again, small businesses, bureaucracy, red tape, all of those things, to the extent that can be reduced or minimized, will help those businesses. I think the way Frank described them as being really nimble in terms of how they operate, rather than necessarily being slowed down. So it's probably unleashing the shackles a little bit. And taxation, I think we are, in a country where levels of taxation are considerably higher perhaps than a lot of other countries, and I think particularly the notion of relief for entrepreneurs, which is quite a healthy regime in the UK, is quite limited in Ireland. And that's not about giving tax breaks to entrepreneurs. That really is about unlocking the pot that entrepreneurs will reinvest, because 90% of them who've exited will actually go again and again do the same things around creating employment and economic activity.
The one thing, Kevin, you're so right around the 500 EY alumni that we now have in our program from tonight. Like, what a milestone. But there's power in their collective voice. So those 500 entrepreneurs generate 18 billion euros in revenue annually, and they employ over 220,000 people on the island of Ireland in every community, north and south. So there's real power in that collective voice. 500 entrepreneurs have at least 500 different agendas. But the most important thing about our alumni and our alumni board is that they work collectively to try and understand, not just for themselves, but also for Indigenous businesses, SMEs and entrepreneurship on the island of Ireland, how they can use that collective voice to try and make sure that entrepreneurship is in the thoughts of policymakers all of the time.
So listen, you're sending now teamwork off to Monaco to compete against winners from all over the world for the world title. How do you think they're going to do?
I think our entrepreneurs, all of our winners that have been to Monaco have done a fantastic job of representing themselves and their businesses. They've done a fantastic job of representing the programme and representing Ireland.
Yep.
And like true entrepreneurs, they're in an environment where there's 60 other country winners. There's a raft of other policymakers, business people in town for a week, and they absolutely capitalise on all of the opportunities.
They become ambassadors.
Yeah, great ambassadors.
What a network, right?
Great network, and they fully exploit that, which is so great opportunity for them. We put on a lot of really challenging, good thought leadership, great topics around family business, around, I think, a lot of what Frank has talked about, innovation and all of that. So they learn lots, but actually they connect with huge amount of businesses, but they perform so well for us over there.
Absolutely.
No
They're
doubt.
huge ambassadors for their alumni, and they're huge ambassadors for Ireland, and we do wish Teamwork the absolute best in Monaco in June 19.
Okay. Kevin McLaughlin, Frank O'Keefe, thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tadhg. Thank you.
Well, that is it for this special edition of the Architects of Business. Congratulations again to Dan and Peter from Teamwork.com, the winners of Entrepreneur of the Year for Ireland 2018. And well done to indeed everyone who was shortlisted for this year's programme. It's been a fantastic event. We've heard some really inspirational stories. And thanks to the organisers at EY and the production team here at JOE, including this programme's main man, Patrick Haughey. I hope you've enjoyed it and you'll join us again next time. Bye-bye.